Here's Brad.
We're back. So did you handle it okay?
Ah, boy. We went and saw Gravity. And I mentioned in the last video that I was not looking forward to this movie because I've got a thing about people almost dying in space.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it before the movie started, and I think it's because it's that sort of weird combination of claustrophobia mixed with agoraphobia, because they're stuck in like those tiny little containers.
Yeah.
And if they leave into the giant abyss, they'll die. But I realized about 20 minutes into this movie that it wasn't really about space, and that made it a lot easier for me.
What do you mean it wasn't really about space?
Well, it wasn't like Terrence Malick overload of images. It was just kind of like, hey guys, Houston is God. And aren't we really all just astronauts floating from one crisis to the other? And if you get bored thinking about that, here's some stuff blowing up. You didn't pick up on that?
Not that it was like a Terrence Malick film.
No, not at all. I'm saying it wasn't like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like
what Terrence Malick movie was that?
You know. Oh. It was just kind of, it was definitely more than just a movie about
floating in space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's a survival film in space, and it has that. It certainly has that in common with the trailer, but it isn't just Sandra Bullock floating around for 90 minutes and dying. There is a lot of stuff happening in it. I love this movie. There were a lot of parts in this movie where I couldn't fucking breathe. I don't love space anymore.
You should show him your shirt. Brad wears I love space shirt.
I had to find it.
Does not love space anymore.
I had to. Oh hell, I can't even get in a
space. So much space. Gotta see it all.
I can barely get in a jetliner. Like I'm gonna get into fucking space.
Well, I've actually I've been skydiving before, and once you get high enough, it doesn't really feel like you're high up anymore. If that makes sense. It's just kind of like there's some stuff right here that just looks real tiny.
I've been that high up. It still feels very high.
Yeah, the height doesn't bother me. It's just the dying in space that bothers me.
The dying in space thing. I still have a lot of my drink left because I was sitting there the whole time just. Fuck my ass.
There was like 50 minutes where I realized I was just sitting there with a chicken nugget, just like.
Yeah. Of course, it probably helped too that I didn't have popcorn this time, and that's why I didn't drink as much of the soda. But at the end of the movie, I forgot it was even there. Like, holy shit, this movie's really, really suspenseful.
It was a long sit. Like, it wasn't like blinking the movie's over. I kept thinking, because you said it was 90 minutes. It's like, we've got to have been sitting here for like 3 hours.
It didn't feel like that to me.
It did to me. I think it was just because like it was the suspense mixed with just like floating with nothing happening.
I kind of like that though. Like that didn't bother me at all. Like it would have stuff like that happened because really it is a survival film in space. And in survival films, whether they're in the mountains or whether they're in space, you have scenes of action, and then you have waxing poetic about the situations that they're in, which they do in this movie too. There is some symbolic dialogue all throughout the movie.
Sometimes you gotta talk to Houston, even if Houston doesn't talk back, because help can come at any time.
You know, it didn't bother me, and
like
I can
she's
tell
talking to Houston, just pans up to this random Buddha doll the Chinese have on the station.
I totally got all of that. I did. It didn't bother. You know what? It didn't bother me because it was really genuine.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, I'm not saying it bothered me. It's just that I think that it being that much more than just a survival movie made the space not bother me, I guess.
Made like the action sequences not bother?
Yeah, I didn't find it as suspenseful, but as suspenseful as I thought it would. Like, I expected it to be an hour-and-a-half long anxiety attack, and it wasn't, but that's a good thing.
It was a good thing, because I would have had an attack. Like, I'm glad for those really quiet moments where, like, they're just floating around, and they're kind of talking to each other and stuff, but that really worked for me, because it gave me a little bit of a breather. And you know what? I thought the dialogue when they were just kind of being human, was funny.
It was.
Like,
It had some genuinely funny spots, especially off of George Clooney.
yeah, because George
He had the
Clooney,
charm up to like 11.
he's like, yeah, playing charming, handsome astronaut, which was cool. But that really worked for me because it seemed it wasn't a situation where he's just like annoying comic relief. He's like saying this stuff to calm her down.
But yeah, it definitely exactly. It felt like a military man trying to calm down a
It
civilian.
did. It so did. And what really got me too was just how the movie was made, because what is probably 15 minutes go by in this before there's a single cut in the film? Did you notice that?
Yeah, we're just kind of like turning a lot, but not actually cutting.
Yeah. There's, especially in the opening scene, it has to go at least like 10 minutes before they cut. Like from the first shot to that shot you see in the trailer where she's drifting away into space. It goes that entire time without a single cut. I mean, if there was a cut, they hit it well. Like, but
Well, like, again,
it's,
this is while they're in space, so 95% of that was probably computer generated.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm just
So they
saying.
didn't
I'm
really
just
have to
saying,
cut.
like, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know how it was shot. That I was kind of sitting there going like that. I'm thinking that too. Like, I'm really fucking impressed with this. I don't know how this was shot. It looks good. It looks really fucking good, but I don't know how it was shot. But yeah, whether like a cut is just masked by whatever, or there's digital effects put in there to kind of hide that, I don't know. But it goes at least about 10 minutes without a purely visual cut put in, and then it does that a lot throughout the movie, where she's just spinning throughout space, and it goes like, camera work's really stunning in this. It goes from the front of her face and then kind of pans over to the back from her like point of
You
view
can
and
see
shit
like
like
the
that.
Earth spread before her.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, it can't possibly be that clear from space. We've got way more pollution than that.
Maybe
You know, it was gorgeous. It just probably doesn't
this
look like
could have
that.
taken place in the 70s.
Oh, okay. They had GPS. Did they have GPS in the 70s?
I wasn't around in the 70s.
I have no idea. I don't remember back then.
Well, check. No, it could have, because Ed Harris was the mission control guy, and
Oh, was he?
Yeah, and he was in Apollo 13. He could be the same. It's a sequel. It's a better sequel than Apollo 18.
Is that Harris the guy from The Truman Show?
Yeah.
So he's gotten 2 movies then.
Oh yeah. So he's playing himself.
Just always got.
Yeah, he's just playing himself.
But yeah, there was parts where I'm pretty sure they must have done that thing where they fly the plane up and then down to like get that like certain degree of weightlessness, because they got like Sandra Bullock kind of like floating around in a space station and like climbing through the tunnels and stuff. But like the stuff out in space, I'm guessing it was just their faces stuck in spacesuits, and like the technology's become so advanced that I would have believed that they'd actually like put them out in the space, you know?
Yeah. There you go. Go see if ants can sort tiny screws in space. Call us when you're done.
I have no idea what you're referencing.
Simpsons.
Oh,
Remember when Homer went into
that's
space?
right.
That
He
was
like
the
floating up to the chip.
That would have been something if, like, in the Simpsons episode where spoiler, when she's flying back down to Earth, if her face turns into Nixon.
Spoiler alert, her face turns into Nixon.
That's what happened on The Simpsons. Like, as the movie was going on, I was kind of sitting like, wow, this person has shit luck. Like, what else is gonna happen to this person? Like, she finds a little space station. Fuck, it's out of gas. It's stuck on like ropes and shit. And
Oh, it was a nightmare when she was like trying to
Yeah.
get the escape pod away and it was like stuck with the
Yeah.
parachute, or like when they flew up to the space station and they're like trying like hell to like grab onto it. There's nothing, hurdle past, catches her foot in a rope and just like hanging there in space. Like, well, I'm dead. Goodbye, everybody.
like, her luck was so shitty. I was expecting her to land on Earth and it'd be now post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, blow it up.
Although
Damn you.
I just had a thought though, when we do like part 3 of Midnight Screenings in 5 seconds, just spoiler, she turns into Nixon.
You shouldn't have told them. No, it's not going to be a surprise.
Like about 8 people would probably tell me that on the comments. That's what really helps me out when I do those videos. Usually someone's like, you should pick this moment. Like, all right, sweet.
Done and done.
Done and done. I'll write it down. That way I can remember it later. But it was... I went into it expecting it to be pretty fucking good, especially, well, I was sold on the trailers. I was sold on the trailers, and word of mouth on this thing is like fucking good, and I really did think it was that suspenseful. Like, I shit my pants in this goddamn thing, and like it was really nice seeing like a space movie where there isn't a lot of sound.
Yeah.
You know?
And they did cool things too, like when the hatch opens, all sound goes away. You know, or like when there's the water pouring in that one time.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just like the camera's above water, noise, underwater, no noise.
Fuck, is she gonna die after she hits Earth? She's gonna drown.
Like, yep, no, that's gonna happen. Buff it, dead.
Fuck! God, it'd be like watching Buried again. Ugh.
I'm so glad you warned me about that movie, because I would have watched it and I would have been mad.
I like this movie so much better than Buried. Buried ended, and I sat there and like, if you haven't seen Buried, I'm sorry. Buried ended, and I sat there like, sweet, I just watched a guy die for 90 minutes. Thanks.
There were parts of this movie where, like, if I had been watching it at home, I would have screamed "fuck you" at the screen.
Which parts?
That George Clooney in particular.
I liked Clooney in this.
I liked him too, except for that one part.
Which one?
Well, we're already into spoilers when they're like, she's got him on the rope, and he's on the rope, he's like, nope. I'm gone. Unclip. Goodbye. I'd only weigh you down even though I have all the information. Have fun figuring out space shit.
No, it's okay. Well, she figured it out.
She did,
with
but
the help
fuck
of
him. Fuck him right in there.
No, he came back as a ghost.
First of all, he was an angel, and second of all,
he showed her where the booze was.
he did.
That'd be great if
he was
that's
a guardian angel.
If that's all he showed her and left.
Here's the booze, BT dubs, here's how to save yourself. Probably turn the oxygen back on.
Now I know where the vodka is. Thanks, fuckhead. That part came on when it panned over and Clooney's like tapping at the window, like I'm sitting like, you can.
She's dead. Okay, she's dead. She died just then.
I thought that I did think that, but then I was also thinking like, you cannot be fucking serious. Like,
no, I didn't figure he actually managed to.
There was like
back
when like it kind of panned over and he was knocking. There was like a split second, like. Really? But then I was like, okay, wait, if this is actually true, there's no way this is getting that good of reviews. And then I figured it out when he opened the door and she didn't die.
Well, she could have survived for about 30 seconds, but no, when he first knocked on the glass, I didn't recognize him, so I thought maybe like, oh, the rescuers survived just in the nick of time, and this Clooney, I'm like, oh, okay, she died.
Mm-hmm. We got more handsome Clooney for a few more seconds.
We did. He's a little old to be an astronaut, but it's Clooney, so let him get away with it.
Yeah. In movies, they rank whether or not you can be an astronaut by handsome points.
Handsomeness and suavity.
Clooney will still be an astronaut when he's 70 years old.
He could be a space cowboy.
Yeah.
They just sign him in like the Red Hat Society when he hits a certain age.
Yeah.
Here's your space hat.
Here's your
pipe
space hat.
to smoke.
Here's your 44 Magnum.
Here's your book of oldie-time idioms.
We didn't get any trailers for the movie.
No, we didn't. Well, we walked in and it was just like Gravity, and I'm like, oh, okay, we'll have to like make up some trailers to talk about in the review.
Yeah. I got nothing. Like we walked, and we didn't even go in there late. We went in at 10 o'clock, and at first it was like kind of like we were like, okay, it's a race. Who's gonna get out here to do their review first? Because both movies are literally 90 minutes long.
But since we didn't have any trailers, it was us. We win.
Yeah, so we didn't have any trailers, so our movie's 40 minutes shorter. So we walked in. It's just Gravity, and I sat down and I left my 3D glasses in the arcade. So I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, all you missed was like a slow pan over totally not polluted Earth.
Yeah.
It was like it was so clear that I thought, well, okay, they're tricking me, and it's actually like a globe that we're looking at on somebody's desk. But no, it was Earth. It was just,
What a twist!
we could see like everything. Turns
Just-
out that all takes place inside a snow globe.
Man, that kid comes up with amazing stories. Give that kid a Lifetime Achievement Award. Shit.
But yeah, it is just George Clooney and Sandra Bullock, and they pulled it off.
Yeah, it really is about 75%
Mostly Sandra Bullock.
a one woman show with Sandra Bullock, and she really carry. I mean, you have in a movie like this, you have to have someone in there who can carry it, and she does. Like,
She lost me a couple times, but it was like when she's like she got a guy on the radio and she was like, "Oh, Mayday, Mayday," and she's trying to like translate because the guy's like Chinese or something.
Oh, the
and
dog.
it turns out he's on Earth, and so she's like talking to him and she's like, obviously going into hysterics, and she starts like, "Arr!" like arr, 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 barking at his dog that's playing in the background, and it's like, okay, well that's ridiculous, but I can see genuinely doing that if you're all by yourself and about to die.
you know, I can't. That's how I felt about watching that scene too. I was like, in a much lesser movie, that would be really stupid. That would be like talking to a plastic plant territory. but
Okay, well,
this
keep
movie's
on rolling.
see, we're normal. Houston, I'm normal.
Houston, nah, I got nothing.
But given that
Like they kept saying we're transmitting in the blind. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Because basically just talking to Houston, and Houston wasn't talking back.
hmm
I think it was partially just so the movie would have some dialogue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm honestly really glad too that this is well, actually I don't know what the budget is on this movie, but I'm kind of glad it's not a low budget independent horror film, because I have a feeling then it would be a found footage movie.
If it was a found footage movie, then they'd be like, well, we know Sandra Bullock.
Huh?
I said, well, if it had been a found footage movie, I would have just assumed from the outset that she dies.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, everyone always dies in those movies. Except for Robert Kerman. But yeah, and I have seen that movie too. It was Apollo 18, which honestly I didn't think was as bad as a lot of other people did, but I did come away with that movie like, where the fuck they find this footage? It's
On the moon.
It's orbiting and... No, it's not on the moon. The end of the movie... Do you mind if are you ever
I
going to
have
see
no
this?
intention of
Okay.
watching Apollo 18.
Really, I didn't think it was that horrible of a movie, but
I keep forgetting that it existed because
It
it
was
was right
out
around
for
the
a
time
week.
that the Transformers Dark of the Moon preview was showing, where like they go to the moon and then find a Transformers. I forget there's
Yeah.
also one where they don't go to the moon.
I liked it better than Transformers 3, I'll tell you that. I think Jared and I are the only two people in Springfield who saw Apollo 18 in the theater. Well, no, there was the one guy in back who, when the movie ended, goes, "What was that horse shit?"
But yeah, spoil it for me.
Well, he gets away. The monsters in Apollo 18 are like rock crabs, like the rocks on the moon. Some of them are actually like crab people.
Okay.
Well, like crab people, but they are like little like
Rock
space rock crabs
Rock
and whatnot.
lobsters.
And then, you know what? I sat there and was like, you know what? I'll buy it. I'll buy it. All right, sure.
Spacecraft.
Sure, there's space crabs on the moon. All right, sure, why not? And so at the end, the guy gets away in like an escape hatch, and he's floating. He's just kind of randomly floating out there. He's like, I made it, ha ha ha. And then
And then he gets hit by a bus.
no, fuck it, that'd be just why not? And then you just see like a bunch of rocks like floating up in front of him, and space crabs. Ah! And I'm sitting there. Who found this fucking footage? It's just floating in space. What the fuck? And I kept waiting for it because it does, like a lot of found footage movies, it has like title cards that pop up at the end, like, this mission has never been revealed to the public, which, really? Yeah. Because back then, all that was a secret. No one noticed the space shuttle going up, and it was Apollo 18.
Here's why I think they wondered slightly why I went from Apollo 17 to Apollo 19, but don't worry about it.
Yeah. So, it's showing like all of these title cards at the end. I'm like, please, for the love of God, one of these 18 title cards, show me who the fuck found this goddamn book. Doesn't. Then it just was with, if you want to know more, go to lunartruth.com.
Did you go to lunartruth.com?
I make it a point not to go to any website that has the word truth in the title because it's probably bullshit. www.challengertruth.com. Yeah, okay.
I thought you invented that particular conspiracy theory.
What, the challenge? Oh, didn't we do that once?
Yeah, we made one up. I can't remember what it was.
I forget, but we went online. I remember we went online and we were like, is there a Challenger conspiracy theory? Because there's a bullshit one for about everything else. We went on like, yep, Reagan caused it because he wanted higher approval ratings because of Iran-Contra.
Did it just shot it out of the sky?
Yeah, he personally did it.
Okay, I would watch that movie.
Yeah.
Just like Reagan sneaking in and sabotaging it, and he's
Reagan,
the hero
you
of the
sneaky
piece.
bastard.
He's got like a headband on and gorilla makeup.
Well, he was an actor. I'd watch the fuck out of that. He could still be played by Alan Rickman, too.
In the end, it turns out that Reagan is God. And aren't we all just Challenger explosions in the end?
Aren't we all just the Challenger on the inside?
I am, Brett. I am.
You are right. I mean, like, there is a lot of, like, never let go, don't let go, stuff like that in
Challenger,
Gravity.
please help. I don't know what to do. Not Challenger. Fucking Houston. Challenger
Houston.
isn't God. Houston is God.
But I don't know. It's probably based on how intense the movie is, mixed in with how well made the flick
It
is
is.
too.
It's kind of simplistic, and I enjoyed that about it.
I like when done right. I like a good bottle movie like this. You know, I really do, because I mean, it takes skill to really pull that off, and when it's pulled off well, it can be pretty fucking scary.
Well, plus the atmosphere is dead on, because like you felt like you were in space.
Oh yeah, like because you're not hearing all these explosions and shit like you do in the trailer, and like, you know, she'll be trying to open up this hatch and shit, and in the background you see that fucking
Like
missile
everything's
debris
like being destroyed behind her while she's trying to
yeah.
concentrate.
just tearing shit apart. But that, and mixed in with how really genuine the performances were and how really likable I thought the two of them were.
Well, I was getting a little annoyed with her. That was one of the things I was going to cuss her out for, was like when she was trying to use the fire extinguisher, and I know she was rattled and she was making some stupid decisions at that point, but she like tried to put out the fire and it just blasts her backward and bonks her head off the wall. Like,
I forgot about
fucking
that.
cunt!
Like fire, yeah, I forgot about the
Ripley, she
fire
ate.
part. I was just sitting there like, wow, she just has shit luck. Fire, catch on rope, no gas. Fuck me. But you know, I forgave that though, because it is established that she's not an experienced astronaut.
Yeah, she's flawed and she is a likable character. It's just that there were certain points when I got a little mad at her.
There were certain points where I never got mad at her. There were just certain points when I was just sitting there like, do you really want to make it back to Earth? Because I have a feeling you're going to fall into like a crocodile pit. Like, something terrible is going to happen. Like hell, like when it ends with her just kind of walking off. For all I know, she's walking onto the set of Cannibal Holocaust.
I was kind of hoping and also dreading that she'd walk up onto the beach and that guy with the dog and the baby would come walking
Oh my
out.
god!
It's you! End credits.
Yeah, if Roland Emmerich made the movie, that's exactly what would happen. This movie's stupid.
Say I love you in Husky.
I knew I could teach you to bark, baby girl. Well, that's fucking White House Down at the end when he was like, I knew, or was something like, I told you I'd watch you wave the flag. She comes in and like,
yay,
waves
baton!
wow, that movie is really inspirational.
But yeah, something else that lent itself to the atmosphere I was going to mention, but I forgot, was that, like, even when the soundlessness was happening, you were still hearing, like, their breathing. And, like, when you're up in their face, you could see, like, the condensation of their breath against the thing. And it added to the claustrophobia of it, I think. but it wasn't overwhelming. Nobody's head exploded. Well,
Hole through face.
hole through face, and I like the way that guy died, because it wasn't like, oh no, it's Dr. Sanjay. You know, it was just like they're up here talking, and then in the background you see, and then his body just starts floating.
He's fine. Aside from the hole in his frozen face. There's really only like one jump scare in the movie, and that's when they go into that
Yeah, they open
destroyed...
the door and like the body kind of falls out.
It got me, so that worked for me. That totally did. I was like, all right. So right on. Some, like, jump scares can still be effective, and that one did it pretty well. That was like in Jaws when the severed head falls out of the hole in the bottom of the boat. But yeah, that got me. I jumped a little bit at that one.
Well, because it actually relates to the story, you know. It's adding to the narrative rather than just like, and suddenly a cat jumped out of the cat.
Frozen cat.
They're doing cat space tests, right? So you see how well a cat does in space. Turns out not so hot.
Basket
of kittens.
Space buddies.
With tiny little space helmets on.
Yeah. I didn't expect those two movies to cross over. All right. Touche movie. I can't say I thought that was predictable. Well, I really highly recommend this movie.
Yeah, definitely go see it.
Especially at this theater where the lightning blew out the...
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm in space right now because there's no light except for this one.
So that's
kind of... And the AMC show place.
That's kind of cool. Like, I pulled up here and I was like, are they closed? Because there was a thunderstorm earlier, but I was like, why are they... I saw them close once. It was because of, like, a tornado, but I was like, is this raining a little earlier? Are they closed? Nope, just Dead Space Theater.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the boys thought of Runner Runner because I know that it's not getting very good reviews.
I am too. I was looking forward to seeing Gravity, but also hearing them talk about Runner Runner.
That's why I wish that we had a space crocodile pit because then it would have been a tie-in to that movie.
Those are space crocodiles. What are you gonna do?
Was that your Justin Timberlake impression?
No, that's what...
the space crocodile?
No, that's my impression of Brian doing his impression of Justin Timberlake. The voice gets tinier and tinier every time. Those are space crocodiles. Someone needs to make a montage of every time in one of these videos someone just does the Ben Affleck, what are you gonna do?
Just make a montage of like all the impressions that have been done.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Do it. You're like everyone's really good ones, and then Sarah's couple of terrible ones.
Which ones did you do?
I don't remember. I've actually been working on a character called Punishingly Bad English Accent. I'm not going to do it right now because it's punishingly bad.
It can't be any worse than mine.
Oi, wanker! Let's go on up the apples and pears and go get some lottery tickets.
That's fine. You just got to do that next time we do it.
Chim chimney.
Sounds authentic to me.
Oi, wanker.
Film Brain, is that you? You gotta remember some of that next time we record Game Boys.
I do that for me because it makes me laugh.
Nice.
But yeah, final thoughts. So good.
Yeah,
very good and not at all as terrifying as I expected it to be.
It was about as terrifying as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was pretty terrifying, quite honestly. Yeah, I'm only just now starting to be able to breathe again, so yeah, I highly fucking recommend the movie. I think next week is Machete Kills, and yeah, not looking forward to Machete Kills.
Not so much.
Yeah. The more I see the trailer, and I'm like, that looks kind of fun, and then I see the trailer again, and I'm like, what is it? Hot Shots Part D now?
Yeah, it became too self-aware, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
too naughty and winky, maybe? Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it's just the trailer that's obnoxious.
Yeah, because at first I was kind of sold on it, but then it's like the more I think about it, I don't know. I hope it turns out to be good. And I think the other movie next week is Captain Phillips. which I assume is going to be nothing like Machete Kills.
So I'll have to work on my punishingly bad Bostonian accent then.
Yes. Or you can go see Machete Kills and work on your Mexican accent.
Oh no, I shan't be doing that.
What? Oh, I see.
There it was! That's why I'm not doing it.
What? Oh, come on.
Look, that's you and Jake.
I think they're coming out of the thing, so see you
Bye.
later.